Look at this cutie here. Hey cutie. You keeping me company? While I do the video, keeping me company. She's keeping me company. BTS's Suga is in the news for his struggle with depression. I don't want to make a video like we normally make a Hallyu Back news video where we just give information and we give our experience and it appears in a news format because that's not what I'm feeling right now. I want to talk about this because I am struggling myself these last, I don't know, several weeks. Suga, on the other hand, and I know a lot of you probably already know this, but he is more unique than the average idol in that him along with Rap Monster, they're the only two in BTS that have released mixtapes where they've rapped. It's more of an underground style where they go in depth away from lyrics that would fit into normal K-pop songs and really dig deep into themselves and their feelings and struggles. And I was just listening to Suga'S August D mixtape. I was listening to The Last, which is a really, really deep song that all of you have probably heard many, many times. And forgive me for not being as hardcore of a fan. I think it does help when we all realize that we're not alone. And it is true that the majority of us at one point or another struggle with depression or struggle with feelings of depression. Moments where we feel weak and we just want to give up. I've been feeling a lot of that lately. As hard as I work and as successful as Steph and I are and as good of a life and as blessed as we are, it's still very difficult to get all your thoughts straight and get all your emotions in check and just live happy. So I'm interested in finding out about Suga. I realized that he's from Daegu. And Daegu's probably not, for those of you who haven't been to Korea or aren't that familiar with the geography, I wouldn't wish to be from Daegu. It's the hottest city in Korea. It's a landlocked city. It's also the most, if I had to compare it to the West, like America, like it's the most spread out. It's also in between cities and it's not where I would wish to live. Like I've been through there before and I was like, no, thank you. Even though Busan is not that far away and Busan's a really nice city and Seoul is really not that far away because South Korea is really not that big of a country. Seoul is a much nicer place. There's a lot more going on. There's a lot less opportunity in Daegu, which is why he's from Daegu, but then he goes to Seoul. In the August D, and forgive me again, if you know this, if you're listening to me talk and I'm the one that's learning this later than you, like you already know this, he talks about in The Last how he saw a psychiatrist in Korea and for the first time that he went with his parents. The fact that he went with his parents is not the surprising part. The surprising part is that he went to a psychiatrist. And I don't mean Suga, I just mean any person over there. It's a rare thing for people to see a therapist in Korea, still. You would think that they're turning the corner and they're doing all of these modern things because they have all the technology and they have all the plastic surgery and they're really, really smart at this point. They produce cell phones and they have huge economic success. But one of the things that's still not happening in mass or like fully or something that people haven't embraced is mental health. It's really still shunned. I don't necessarily give him credit as much for mentioning it in his video, in his song, even though that takes tremendous courage as well. Just the simple fact that he went. It takes a lot of courage to admit to a lot of people that he went. But just going, like the stigma is so negative against going to get mental health because people will automatically put you into the crazy box if anybody finds out. I think that's how much the younger generation is starting to embrace a better world and wants a more friendly community. When you find out that Suga, who's a young guy in his early 20s, has gone to therapy, even if he's only gone once, that's such a huge step forward for Korea, and he's such a leader in admitting that he went on a mixtape that probably got millions of downloads. The song that I was listening to, The Last, let's find it on YouTube here. Yeah, 1.4 million views. This is the one with the lyrics that are also in English. Millions and millions of people have, if you've watched the whole thing, seen that he went to a therapist. Now this is,
I'm hammering home the therapist part, but it's because of the Korean aspect or the Asian aspect. If you're not a Korean, or if you're not, like, for instance, an ethnic Chinese or maybe Japanese, and I'm not as familiar with Japan, but I'm familiar with Korea and I'm familiar with China. Like, mental health, it's just, the stigma's too large for the vast majority of people to consider going. I wanted to go see a therapist near the end of our time in Korea, and there were only 2 English-speaking offices in all of Seoul, which is actually a lot, but it's mostly because of the American military being there, so they're right where the American military main base in Seoul was. But again, that's for foreigners living there. It wasn't really geared towards Koreans, and I never met anybody who had gone to therapy who was a Korean while living in Korea. Never. The discussion about mental health is one that we can't talk enough about because we still barely talk about it. There's even still sort of a stigma that people don't want to admit that they go to a therapist here in the US. I just think that he's a trendsetter. He's a standalone, and I think that's part of his struggle in how unique he is. Like, he's always going to struggle with feeling alone. He isn't afraid to be himself, and he isn't afraid to be a leader, even though it's sort of like he's against all odds being from Korea. You're just supposed to smile and suck it in and not really talk about it. The majority of Koreans are so good at poker face. This is a result of not being able to talk about your feelings. You just suck it up. I suppose it is a good thing and a healthy thing, not only that Suga'S gone to a therapist or might still be going, but that also he gets to express himself in a way that so many people can share his emotion or his struggle. Just feeling what he's feeling and feeling it together. We don't give ourselves enough credit for how connected we all are as humans. Comments if you've ever struggled with depression at all, or if you've ever had feelings of depression. Comments if you can relate with what Suga'S is going through. Learning about K-pop idols, it's interesting. And they have interesting lives, and they're quite unique. In a way I can relate with them because they're Korean and I spent a long time over there. In a way I have no idea about them. Suga'S, I wish you the best of luck, and thank you for being so brave and honest in your lyrics. Click the like button, you guys. Thank you so much for supporting us here at Hallyu Back. And that's it. I'm out of here. Hasta luego.